Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. So here we are, another day, and here in California, the sun is rising as I'm making this video. So when I first found the teaching of Bruno Groening, there was this talk of evil and occasionally this talk of the devil or Satan, and I just said, like, that's ridiculous. No, I didn't want anything to do with that. It didn't make sense to me. My whole life, in fact, for almost 12 years, I'd found another spiritual philosophy that was based on the idea that there's no such thing as evil. So I was very much I just ignored that, and that's okay. I just did a lot of tuning in. I did a lot of giving away my illnesses, having faith in God, and developing trust in Bruno Groening, and I experienced healings. And at a certain point, I finally started to realize that understanding evil is an essential part of Bruno Groening's teaching. Bruno said the human being lives right in between good and evil. Right here, the good, right here, the evil. The human being decides. Some people really don't like the word evil, and I can understand that, having used to have been one of them. And so I don't think the word is so important. But what I've come to on this path is understanding. So people aren't worried about the word good or God. Some people don't like the word God, but the word good, harmonious, people are okay with. This word evil, some people aren't okay with it, and that's fine. It's actually not a big deal. However, what I've realized is a big deal is being very clear that there is a negative force, consciousness, a very destructive energy at work in creation. To not be aware of that, in my experience, is to be in denial of it. And to be in denial of it is to actually unconsciously let it in. To not be aware of this thing, whatever we call it, whether you call it ego, evil, the devil, ignorance, delusion, illusion, those are some different spiritual words I've heard. To not be aware of it means we're not going to be mindful of it. And, Bruno Groening called us to be mindful of every thought, to recognize that it comes from one of two sources. So let's drop the word evil for a moment, whether it comes from a source of harmony and love, or whether it comes from a source of destruction and misery. So I don't think it's so important to get focused on what we call it. This is a Bruno Groening gathering. This is a Bruno Groening channel. So I just tend to use the words that he used with an explanation of what he meant by them. And this concept, to really be clear that every thought comes from that which regenerates life, that which heals and helps life, or that which is literally seeking to destroy life. That's personally why I've become comfortable with using the word evil, because according to Bruno Groening, evil is so nasty, which is another meaning of the word that Bruno used for evil in German, Bosse, nastiness. Evil is so nasty that it's actually seeking to destroy this earth. According to Bruno Groening, it won't succeed, and um, that's how nasty. That's what we're up against. And that's why I believe Bruno Groening said, "My life is God, my battle, my war, my struggle is with evil," because it's a very nasty, destructive thing. Whatever you call it, you can just call it it. It is very nasty, vicious, mean, destructive. And it's mighty. It's not just a little thing. Bruno called us to remember that he said, Satan is mighty, God is almighty. So let's turn to that which is almighty to help us overcome that which is mighty. Let's turn to the almighty good to help us overcome the very mighty, stealthy, um, sly, mighty force that seeks to harm. Buddha taught a very simple way to do this through taking in the energy of the good through observing your body. So please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Please sit with your back in a upright position, not stiff, but not slouched over either, just a nice, relaxed, upright position. Close your eyes and then begin to hand over all burdens, all illness, everything not good. Handing it over to a higher power or handing it over to a spiritual helper such as Bruno Groening. And then think of something that makes you joyful. And then begin to observe the body, taking in the good, having the will, the intention to receive this good energy. Noticing what you're feeling, having the intention to take in this good energy, having the intention to be freed from everything not good, whatever we call it. Noticing what you feel, taking in the good. Welcome, Mila. Right now we're tuning in, which means to take in healing energy. The way to do that is to observe your body while having that intention, welcoming the peaceful quiet. Here's something that Greta Hausler wrote about the path. She's someone who knew Bruno Groening well. This is from the book Insights and Wisdom, page 40. Whether we think, Whenever we think of a nice vacation or a special occasion, the images experienced there are like pictures in an album. One must one must also often bring back all the beautiful, the good, but one should not bring back what is not good. So, so it's this path isn't about dwelling on what's not good. To the contrary, it's actually dwelling on what is good, while yes, being mindful of what isn't good. But we don't want to get. Um, it's a very delicate balance. Here's another quote from Greta Hausler. To gain recognition that evil exists and has a mighty effect everywhere also places the task before us that we must overcome all that. So there's a beautiful balance of it's our job to stay connected to the good. And as Bruno Groening said, it's our job to calmly oppose evil, to first recognize what evil is. Again, not so concerned about the word choice, but to recognize its existence and to recognize our job to free ourselves from it and to help others free themselves from it. Now, this isn't just a task that we do in this life, it's an ongoing thing through multiple lifetimes. And here's a beautiful quote from Bruno Groening about this. So, this is from Powers of the Spirit, page 114. And a person just was drawn to go see Bruno one evening. And Bruno looked at him and said, "Don't do it this time." And the man was shocked and didn't know what that meant. And he left. And later, Bruno Groening said, here's what Bruno Groening said about this person. Oh, well, I'll just continue reading what Bruno said. But I repeated the stern warning once more, saying very emphatically, profoundly shocked and deeply shaken inside, he promised me he would not do it. The man kept his promise, and 6 weeks later, he was able to go home in a natural way that was willed by God. Dear friends, he did not know why he had drifted to me that evening. He simply did the right thing, and then he became free, free forever. You see, in his past, and you see, in his spiritual past, he had already ended his life violently several times. In our time, he had been born with one single task in his life to avoid doing it this time. If he had again put an end to his life himself, a constant repetition of this act would have been inevitable, meaning in future lifetimes he would have done it again and again and again. In conditions that would have become continuously more difficult. Even the circumstances of your own lives today, my friends, are also the consequences of things you have done or failed to do in the past. Take note, God never punishes and never sends illness, for from him there only ever comes that which is good. Everything that oppresses human being, everything that they have to deal with, they have brought about themselves. And so this person had decided to kill themselves, and then they were drawn to Bruno Groening, and through grace, Bruno was able to see this person's past and able to see their future and was able to give him the right guidance. But how amazing is that, that this was this person's task in this lifetime to not repeat that? So it's all of our task to free ourselves from evil, and each of us, how the specifics of that are going to show up a little bit differently. So let's tune in now. Let's ask, what is it here that we're each here to learn this individual life? What what specific ways are we here to free ourselves from evil and to learn? So let's observe the body, taking in the good, noticing what you feel, asking to be shown, what are my lessons for this life? Taking in the good, asking to be guided, noticing what you feel, firmly determining to be free from everything not good. So Bruno Groening, you know, was very clear that he was a human being. He was also very clear that he had some special abilities. And here from this story, we get to see one. He was able to see this person's past lives, and he was able to see what would happen if this person continued on the path they were on. You know, he said, I am here and everywhere at the same time. And he also said, if you are sad, I am sad as well. And when you are happy, I am happy. So that's a very intriguing statements that it's hard for the mind to fathom that Bruno Groening is here and everywhere at the same time. He once said, I'm really with you. I'm not just saying this, really believe you. Really, I'm always with you. I'm not just saying this, really believe it. It's a very, it's incomprehensible to the human mind how someone can be always with, not just, it's not like Bruno said, hey, I'm always with you, but with all of his friends. And how he can be in one place and every place at the same time. How he can see the past lives and the future possibilities. It's a little incomprehensible. Not just a little, it's very incomprehensible. And personally, it helps me trust him even more to know that I have such a wise helper with me and on my team, on my spiritual team. All right, friends, let's begin to wrap up. And let's take in some more good energy. Let's ask for those nearest and dearest in our lives. Those we really care about. Let's ask for harmony in our households, in our neighborhoods, in our cities. Let's ask that more and more people are open to the good, by whatever name they call it. And more people are able to feel the good and be guided by the good. Let's dedicate the rest of our lives, maybe more importantly, the rest of this day, to being connected to God, to taking in the good and going out and sharing it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Look forward to seeing and feeling you very soon. Take care. Much love.